boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. What is Alicia Baumgardner's recent response to Carolyn Dubois' call-out, which we talked about in my previous video? Young Alicia said, "Listen, Carolyn, beanhead ass, keep my name out your mouth. Until you actually dominate your own division, do what Katie and Amanda already did. Become undisputed. Matter of fact, go handle Beatrice Ferreira, Terry Harper, or Stephanie Hahn first. I know you're thirsty to fight on an MVP show. Talk is cheap, but belts ain't. I cleaned out 130 and became undisputed. That's called greatness. You keep mentioning my name for clout, but I've proven myself time and time again, while you're still begging to be seen." To which Carolyn responded, "Listen here, you drug-cheating ass. I'm chasing big fights and big moments. I'm going to deal with my division. Don't you worry about that. The stars align for you to make a clean run at Undisputed, and I'm praying I can get the same opportunity sooner rather than later." The fucking nerve of this broad, I'm telling you. And this is why I keep saying I've lost a lot of respect for Carolyn Dubois. Alicia Baumgardner didn't have the red carpet rolled out for her like Carolyn did, signing with a major promotional outfit right out of the amateurs. Alicia got it out of the mud. Alicia wasn't with a major promoter at the start of her career. For long spells, she wasn't even fighting on television. The fuck do you mean the stars just aligned for her to go on an undisputed run? Are you joking? You're saying that you're praying for the same opportunity? The opportunity's been in front of you for well over a year now to unify with Beatrice Ferreira. You're not praying for an opportunity, you're being a picky eater. Likely because you want to age Beatrice out. It's very obvious. Every time they ask Carolyn about a Beatrice Ferreira fight, she literally puts it off. Always wants to fight someone else, always wants to do something else. But near as I can tell, if you think you're ready for someone as experienced as Alicia, then why wouldn't you be ready for Beatrice? She's right there, and she is not otherwise preoccupied. So you're saying that you lost respect for Carolyn because she's calling out Alicia? No, I lost respect for Carolyn when I realized she's not cut from the same cloth as a Katie Taylor. I don't even think she's cut from the same cloth as Clarissa Shields, because you can like Clarissa or you can not like Clarissa. But if there's somebody worth fighting in her divisions, she'll fight them. When Savannah Marshall's coming through and she's knocking broads out, putting them down, Clarissa didn't shy away from that challenge. That's exactly what she's doing. When she was targeting Rhiannon Dixon, who has no amateur background, or Terry Harper, well, that was why. Because she has the amateur background that they don't. But when you bring up Beatrice, who actually medaled in the Olympics more than once, oh, well, we want to save that for last. That's for later on. And that's why I've lost a lot of respect for Carolyn. It's not that Carolyn isn't a good fighter. It's that she's too brazen and opportunist. What would a fight between Carolyn and Alicia Baumgardner look like? It being that I don't think Alicia stays at 130 beyond this upcoming fight with Layla Boudoir. How does that fight go? Well, it's very obvious that Alicia is a more experienced professional than Carolyn Dubois. In spite of Carolyn's amateur accolades, the amateurs and the pros really are different beasts. Carolyn Dubois is a southpaw, whereas Alicia Baumgardner is an orthodox fighter. Carolyn's used to being the biggest puncher in the room and the best athlete in the room. She ain't encountered anybody like Alicia Baumgardner yet, and when she does, that might throw her off, as Alicia will present a much trickier target than what Carolyn is used to. You're talking about head movement, you're talking about upper body movement, angling off, you're talking about a fighter that can beat those feet, change levels, use angles. Nobody that Carolyn Dubois has fought so far brings to the table all the attributes that Alicia would bring to the table, and the best one is that she's not an easy target. Carolyn's got power, but so does Alicia. Who's the bigger puncher? It's negligible. It's not much between them. Carolyn has speed, but so does Alicia. What will separate them is experience. That Alicia's had to deal with more base styles across a longer duration of time than Carolyn. She fought a big puncher in Christina Lenardatu, a seasoned boxer and amateur standout in Michaela Mayer, and an esteemed professional in Terry Harper. Carolyn would not be the first time that Alicia fought a puncher, but that would be the first time that Carolyn fights one. Who'd she fight that could punch? Who did she fight that could box? That could box on the level of an Alicia Baumgardner? For Carolyn Dubois fighting Alicia sooner than later might come as a culture shock of sorts. You're used to being the big fish in the small pond and having it all your way. Be careful what you wish for.
You might get it.
Way to beat Carolyn is by making her miss and making her pay, because she's not used to that. That will wear on her engine, her energy reserves that almost gave out on her in her last fight with Baumgardner Shin.
Just imagine Alicia angling off and making her miss, countering in between, frustrating her.
At least for now, the edge has to go to the more experienced fighter, the more experienced champion, and that is Alicia Baumgardner by a wide margin. Maybe we get this fight next year upon Alicia Baumgardner's ascent to the lightweight division, because I don't think she's going to stay at 130 much longer, and maybe Carolyn will get what she wants.
Careful what you wish for.
Bradley, you already know the rest. I call cap on all these fighters going crazy on Tank. Call cap on them, all of them. Anybody going crazy on Tank for taking this fight, I call cap. Because I'm telling you right now, if Jake Paul was to call your ass and say, I'm 40 million, get in the ring with me, you will be in that, I'm trying to tell you, you be right. Whatever you want, Jake, whatever you want, you will be right there. 40 million, you will be right there. Don't cap, I'm telling you. Put in the comment section who you think won't take a $40 million paycheck from freaking Jake Paul. Shoot, they going overseas to Saudi Arabia for $5 million, for $10 million, $15 million. That's what they doing. You ain't gonna stay in the United States and make $40 million to fight Jake Paul? Got y'all suckers. All of y'all will take $40 million. Don't matter who you are in the game. You gonna take that $40 million. That's for damn sure. Anyways, peace. I'm out.
I don't know why all of a sudden Timothy Bradley has become Gervonta Davis's biggest fan, where he himself used to be one of Gervonta's biggest critics. He was right there alongside us criticizing Gervonta for not fighting Lomachenko in his prime and not fighting Shakur Stevenson now. I don't know what changed in Timothy's mind or why he's now celebrating this joke fight with Jake that, well, anybody would have took that fight. Any boxer.
It seems like the only defense they have for Gervonta's joke fight is to misrepresent it. People aren't actually mad that he's fighting Jake. They're mad over who he didn't fight. And knowing now who he's not going to fight, because you're not going to make $40 million with Jake to then come back to regular boxing for regular money, to take on riskier and more capable opponents that might actually beat you. If you didn't do it before, you're not going to do it now. And that's what people are really angry about. So when Timothy and others within the boxing sphere celebrate Gervonta Davis, what are you really celebrating? That he's making off like a bandit and leaving nothing behind? No legacy to talk about?
That he's making $40 million for one fight with Jake Paul, which is a lot more than most professional boxers are going to make the entirety of their careers, having not taken any risks. That's what you're celebrating.
Well, you're celebrating the wrong thing.
Tank Davis has been called a champion. He's never been a champion of any division. He's never beaten the man in any division. He's had some good wins. In retrospect, the Pitbull win was a nice win. It was a close fight. It was a nice win. Ryan Garcia, that's a big win. Right? Like, that's good for him.
Dehydrated Ryan, but good win.
Yeah, right. But he has never fought, oh, that's the champion of that division. I'm going to go fight that guy. In any division.
It was
like when people look at Floyd Mayweather, and I have said, hey, once he left lightweight, he picked and chose when he fought guys. He still was the actual champion of at least one division, but even at junior lightweight and lightweight, he cleaned out junior lightweight. He moved up to lightweight. He fought the champion in his first fight at lightweight, won a tough fight. A lot of people thought he lost, but then won the rematch. He was the champion in two. Tank never did that.
Never did it.
Never did it even in one, and now he's talking about retiring?
And you're doing it off of coming up against a struggle against Lamont Roach, who was a 9-1 underdog? He gives you that tough of a fight. You have to get the revenge.
Adequately stated by both Max Kellerman and Mike Coppinger. So that when I see Tim Bradley not only defending Gervonta Davis, but in some way celebrating him, I just wonder, what are you celebrating? That he made off like a bandit?
That he got to make a few million here and there, staying on Easy Street, and then he made even more than that for a joke fight.
Essentially that he made off like a bandit. He found the cheat code. But if this is a cheat code, who is he cheating?
The sport of boxing.
He's cheating the fans out of the fights that they've been asking him to have for many, many years now. He's cheating the fans, and he's cheating the industry.
How?
Well, people don't tend to think of things on a long enough timeline. Him getting to make this much money for a fight like this one, having not fought in the fights that people asked him to have, it creates a disparity.
An imbalance.
Takes the money and runs, but leaves nothing behind. The sport of boxing is not now more marketable because of Gervonta Davis and this joke fight that he's about to have with Jake.
Even if everybody ends up watching it, it's still a cheat code.
You're robbing a bank and you're robbing the fans of the fights that they wanted you to have. So what happens to a store?
If it keeps getting robbed.
What happens to any business that is facing uncontrolled shrinkage in a neighborhood? What happens if there are too many shoplifters? There's too much shoplifting.
It closes. The major companies take their stores and move away.
Kind of like how all the major broadcasters have moved away from boxing, right?
Right.
This is what you're celebrating, Tim? There's a lot of talk right now about Dana White's reputation and the emergence of TKO boxing in the coming year. People complaining.
Like there have been people complaining about Turkey El Sheikh monopolizing the sport and using well-known fighters for his cards. Just imagine if they weren't here. Just imagine if Dana White weren't going to launch TKO and Turkey weren't putting on the cards that he's been putting on.
American boxing would still be in a haphazard state because in America, all the major broadcasters have left. What happened in American boxing was always going to happen. Fox was always going to ditch the PBC, and so was Showtime.
ESPN not renewing with Top Rank. This was always going to happen.
So just imagine if you don't have TKO launching next year, doing upwards of 12 shows in a calendar year, and you don't have Turkey El Sheikh doing all the things that he's doing in boxing, putting on the fights that he's putting on, just imagine that none of that is going on and American boxing is still in the state it's in. And the most that you would have to look forward to is a joke fight between Gervonta and Jake Paul. How does boxing survive?
When you celebrate that Gervonta Davis is making off like a bandit and in some ways he's found a cheat code to the money,
don't leave out who he's cheating. He's cheating the boxing fans of what they've been asking for. He's cheating the industry because it's not now better that he's fighting in a joke fight with Jake.
Not passing the torch to anybody, he's not doing anything.
Gervonta Davis not but a few days ago himself said that boxing is dead. What he left out is he's a part of the reason.
Part of the problem.
And this is the guy that Timothy Bradley is celebrating. I just don't understand it. Timothy Bradley himself was not a protected fighter like Gervonta Davis. He wasn't coddled.
Hell of a resume Timothy Bradley's got.
So I really don't understand how a fighter like Timothy can support a fighter like Gervonta. But I guess that speaks to something cultural within the American boxing space and America in general that seems to have an affinity for celebrating the wrong people and the wrong things.
Thank God that boxing is now more global than it ever was, and it's not relying anywhere near as much on America as it used to be the hub for world-class boxing.
Now, the American boxing scene is a joke.
Haymonite, delusions!
You know, a lot of these boxers, they're not going to tell you that this sport is called prize fighting. Every single boxer, every single fighter wants to get paid as much as possible and get out of the sport. They use that boxing legacy BS. The only people that say that is people that are not selling.
Canelo Alvarez wasn't selling? Canelo Alvarez doesn't have a legacy?
He's got a gigantic net worth of almost $800 million. And he, unlike Gervonta Davis, unified titles with other champions at his weight. At more than one weight. He did it at middle. He did it at super middle.
What are you going to tell me, that he was struggling to sell? Or that he didn't care about legacy? Then why did he do so many things that Gervonta Davis didn't do, all while outselling Gervonta Davis?
People that cannot get their pay-per-views by themselves. People that cannot have high gate venues revenue by themselves. They use that boxing legacy just because they can't be on the same level as a guy that's a pay-per-view seller.
Which one of those guys that Gervonta Davis fought was a high pay-per-view seller? Because he was willing to give Rolly Romero an opportunity and Frank Martin an opportunity and Lamont Roach an opportunity.
When those guys don't draw as much as a Devin Haney, those guys don't draw as much as a Shakur Stevenson. They literally don't.
So why was Gervonta more willing to fight those guys that don't draw as much when he could have fought in bigger fights with bigger names with guys that do?
Guys that don't need other help. So this is not, I'm not going to mention any boxers' names, but even when I was in a space and I seen people saying,
Do you know why all of a sudden he doesn't want to mention any other boxers' names? It's because if he does, his logic can be debunked. If he starts talking about specific fighters, if he makes it more clear who this is for and who he's defending, he knows that his logic can be turned around on him. But I don't need him to say Gervonta Davis's name to know he's talking about Gervonta Davis or that this is another effort to defend him. Who else would he be talking about when he starts saying that legacy is bullshit and fighting for legacy is bullshit? He can't be talking about Canelo or Crawford. He can't be talking about Usyk. He can't be talking about Inoue.
this guy is not doing boxing legacy, boxing legacy. If that person was selling well and had a big enough resume, people would fight him. The reason why people are not able to fight this opponent is because this person does not sell.
Pray tell, how much was Rolly Romero selling when Gervonta fought him? Frank Martin, Isaac Cruz. Who even knew who the man was before Gervonta Davis fought him? How much were they selling? Were they selling more than Devin, more than Teofimo, more than Shakur? You know the answer.
No, they weren't. And that's why you don't want to use any names this time, because you don't want your logic turned around on you.
And they use that excuse for these promoters. They use that excuse for fighters, and they use that same excuse to try to diminish other boxers. But at the end of the day, every single boxer wants to get paid. If they didn't want to get paid, you wouldn't see boxers crying about, oh, you're only giving me 10%, I need more. Oh, you're giving me $3 million, I need $5 million. Oh, you're not paying me this amount, I need a higher percentage of pay-per-view. All these boxers are just finessing. They all want a huge payday.
No shit, Sherlock. But if Gervonta Davis is as good as people like you make him out to be,
Why should that stop him from fighting?
you're saying that fighters like Shakur want a payday, and that's the only reason they want to fight Gervonta.
That's the only reason anybody wants to fight, genius.
That's the only reason anybody is fighting, including Gervonta Davis. So the question is, why should that stop him? Why should he be so selective just because the other guy wants to get paid? Everybody wants to get paid.
It's not the reason he's being selective.
He's being selective because he knows he can't keep getting paid if somebody beats him. So he's not going to fight anybody he thinks can beat him.
And the funny thing is, the only boxer that I really will never disrespect and actually fights boxing legacy is Devin Haney.
Well, Gervonta didn't fight Devin Haney either, so what's the point in bringing him up? Devin wanted to fight like Shakur wants to fight, and Gervonta didn't fight either of them.
I give a lot of respect to Devin Haney, but a lot of these other boxers, they don't care about boxing legacy. They all want a payday. So remember that when these boxers start diminishing other fighters, remember they all want a payday.
Big fucking revelation that every prize fighter in prize fighting wants to get paid. The disconnect is this guy thinks you have to choose between legacy and finance. Some fighters don't have to.
The really good ones don't have to. They can have both.
The really good ones. Your problem is you're trying to convince us that Gervonta is one of those fighters. Not being as careful as he is. See, he has to choose between legacy and finance because if he fought for legacy, he would have lost a long time ago.
He's clearly not a legacy fighter.
And for people like you, that's enough. That's okay. Just don't try to convince me that there's anything wrong with fighters at his weight wanting to fight him. That's the name of the game.
Because they want to get paid? Of course they want to get paid.
Everybody wants to get paid, but how does that absolve him?
How does that make it okay for him to not fight these guys?
Seems the brazen celebration of haplessness and cowardice.